Heading into question number 10 of Logical Reasoning Drill Set number 5 over at lawhub.lsac.org, we've got our highlight tool selected as always, and we're going to read the question stem to identify what we're being asked to do. It reads, the reasoning in the sociologist argument is most vulnerable to criticism on the grounds that the argument. So we're going to highlight most vulnerable to criticism on the grounds that the argument does something. So we know that this argument has to have a logical hole in it. We're going to read the sociologist's argument. We're going to identify the conclusion, highlight that conclusion, and hopefully take a moment to logically predict in our mind what a common flaw might be here. So the sociologist states, of the 2,000 adults who responded to survey questions asked by researchers who called them at home, only 10% said that they typically leave the house for leisure activities 3 or more times per week, and 70% said that they spend most of their free time at home. This suggests that most adults spend their leisure time at home. And you saw I went to go re-highlight the this suggests because it's all about the survey. And you need to think about the survey. And one of our most common logical reasoning flaws involves sample sizes. And we've got a survey that is calling adults at home. Well, we're saying that most adults spend most of their leisure time at home. Well, these people are already at home. So who's not responding to the survey? Those who are out doing leisurely things in the world. So hopefully you can predict this in real life flaw almost immediately. Now let's move to the answer choices. Starting with choice A, fails to consider the possibility that the responses of many of the adults who participated in the survey did not fit into either of the two categories mentioned. Well, we're not considering the two categories mentioned, and honestly, you can only have at home or out of the home. That's a dichotomous option, so choice A is just not the flaw that was presented. Thank you for watching this question explanation video from LSAT drill number 5 over at lawhub.lsac.org. If you enjoyed the tips that it contained, please consider liking the video or subscribing to the channel to be notified when additional question explanation videos are produced by my guru. Also, check out the description below for links to additional resources from my guru, including links to full sets of video explanations for entire LSAT prep tests from LawHub. But for now, let's get back to this question explanation. Then choice B draws a general conclusion about a population on the basis of a sample that was selected in a way likely to make it unrepresentative of that population. Well, ding, 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 that is exactly what we hopefully mentally predicted on the way into the answer choices. So on the exam, if you are aiming for 165 or 170 plus, you very well may very briskly go through C, D, and E just to make sure that there's nothing present to make you second guess choice B, but you're going to probably move on at this point. But for the purposes of this video, let's go through the remaining answer choices, starting with choice C, which states, draws a conclusion about a large population on the basis of a sample that was too small to support any significant conclusions about the characteristics of such a population. Well, it's rare that we see something that's extreme when it comes to argumentation, wrong answers, but it's not a flaw that it was too small to support any significant conclusion. It's this specific conclusion. I mean, 2,000 adults is a pretty big sample size, so choice C just doesn't match the flaw. Then choice D fails to consider the possibility that other surveys addressing the issue of how much leisure time adults spend at home have produced somewhat different results than did the survey that was cited. Well, what does somewhat different results mean here? I have no idea, so we can eliminate choice D. And then choice E takes for granted that all the responses of the people participating in the survey accurately reflected the amount of leisure time that they spent at home. Well, we don't need it to be literally all the responses. I mean, if like one or two get it wrong, that's not a flaw in the argument. And you can see C, D, and E do take a little bit of time to work through, which is why if you've got that prediction and you can select B here proactively, you can make this a question that you could potentially do in under 60 seconds flat.